Hey, you guys, time for another movie retrospective. This time going back to the very early 80s, going back to a film that I've actually been wanting to do for a really long time. And the shitty thing is that I finally decided, okay, we're going to do it. And I remembered that it was on Shudder. So I said, okay, I'm going to watch it again tonight. And then I went on Shudder and it was gone.
Yeah. Miss 45.
Ms. 45.
Miss 45.
Luckily, Tubi.tv had it, so if you want to watch it, you can actually watch it in there for free. It's just a couple commercials in there and stuff like that.
Not to be mistaken for 45 Grave. That band.
Yeah, I like 45 Grave.
Yeah.
They're actually very good.
Miss 45. Kind of like a I Spit on Your Grave type movie.
It is, sort of. Yeah, it's also called Angel of Vengeance. Came out in 1981, directed by Abel Ferrara, who, before this, he had made The Driller Killer, in which he played kind of an artist that loses his shit and starts killing people with a drill, just as the title
Well,
implies.
that happens sometimes.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Before that, I believe he had done porn. I think he did one
Like you
called
do.
9 Lives of a Wet Pussy,
Shit.
which... Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good title.
All right.
So I've never seen the porno, but I have seen Driller Killer, which I really like. It's actually more of a psychological. It sounds like a slasher, but it's really not. It's like kind of sleazier. But Ms. 45, while still quite sleazy, is actually it's actually a lot more like accomplished. And it's been restored. I think Alamo Drafthouse Films just got the rights to it, and they re-released like a really nice restored version. I think in 2014.
I haven't seen this one in a long time. Jenny saw it recently. I haven't seen it recently.
I've seen it a whole bunch of times, and I was like bummed out. Like I said, when Shudder took it off, like the very day I was going to watch it. And then I was like, well, I could probably do it from memory because I've seen it so many times. But then I noticed that Tubi had it. So so I have watched it like very, very recently.
Yeah, I think I was out riding a motorcycle during that time.
You probably you were actually asleep. I watched
asleep?
I
Okay.
watched it like early in the morning while I was like working on some other shit.
I haven't seen it forever. I remember it, but it didn't really stand out to me at the time. So I'm not really the one to do the review on it. You can do the review. You do the review.
Well, you can like pop in with
I'll
stuff.
pop in on it.
Stuff.
Yeah.
This is I think in the 70s and 80s, mostly in the 70s, there was kind of a little mini genre of what they call rape revenge movies.
Yeah.
Ms. 45 is probably one of the best known examples. Probably the best known example is I Spit on Your Grave, which was actually remade in 2004.
Why would you want to remake that? The original was what it was. That didn't need a remake.
And honestly, I might do a review on I Spit on Your Grave because I know that movie gets shit on a lot.
Not as bad as people say it is.
But I actually really like that movie.
It's the content of the movie, not so much the...
It has the most horrifying rape scenes in it. Like, the most horrifying, like, realistic rape scenes in it. I mean, for a long time, like, after I watched it, it was like, I had a hard time watching it.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, a lot of, like, really bad, like, horror movies and stuff. But it was just, there was something just so gross and, like, real about it. Like, you were watching it really happen, like a snuff film.
It was kind of like watching that first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That kind of comes across as real in a weird way, but it's not.
Yeah, it's like just has that gritty, like, oh man, I need a Silkwood shower now.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like, Abel Ferrara's films, he's a New York filmmaker, and he was making movies a lot in the 70s and 80s in New York when it was still, like, really dirty and filthy and dangerous.
Yeah.
And that really, really comes through in a lot of his movies, probably more so in Driller Killer, but in this one as well. I would call this one a rape revenge, although it differs from I Spit on Your Grave in a lot of ways. I mean, I Spit on Your Grave is basically, this poor woman goes to a cabin to work on her novel. 4 stupid rednecks gang rape her, and then she just fucking offs them. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Like, cuts off their dicks and whatnot.
Yeah.
So she is very directly taking revenge on the people that did that to her. Now, Ms. 45 is a little bit different. It is actually the story of there's this girl, and her name is Thana, and she is actually played by Zoe Tamara Lund, who I think she was only 17 when this movie was made. She was a beautiful, beautiful girl. Model, screenwriter. She actually co-wrote the screenplay for Bad Lieutenant, which was one of Abel Ferrara's later movies. And she was also a musician. She actually died of complications from a heroin overdose. She was one of those people that she was on heroin and she loved heroin. Yeah. She would like tell everybody she thought heroin was like the greatest thing ever.
So was Billy Idol, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she actually did end up dying from that. I think she was only 35 years old. But she is actually great in this. So she plays a character called Thana, who's mute. She's not deaf, but she can't speak. Yeah. She works in the garment district in New York City. She's like a seamstress or something. Yeah. Now, on one particular day, she is walking home from work. She walks to a grocery store. She's leaving the grocery store, and a masked dude pulls her into an alley and rapes her. Fun fact, that first rapist with the mask on, I'm pretty sure that's Abel Ferrara. So he's doing some weird, like, Dario Argento, I always use my hand to stab bitches in my movies type of thing. So, because, like I said, Abel Ferrara was also the murderer in Driller Killer, so it's just... I don't know what you want to think about that. He's
living out his fantasy.
I guess so. So she gets raped in an alley, which, that's horrifying enough. Then she's all, fucked up and everything. And then she goes back to her apartment and a burglar has broken into her apartment and he also rapes her. So this is not her day, is what I'm saying. Now, this second motherfucker that is in her apartment, she actually ends up getting the better of him and ends up smashing his head in with an iron, justifiably so. And so he's like dead in her apartment. Now, because of this horrible trauma, she basically slowly, it's not actually not that slow because it's a pretty fast-paced movie. She pretty much loses her shit and decides she is just going to go on a man-killing spree around New York City.
Even the innocent ones?
Well, that's like I said, that's why this isn't really like a classic rape revenge, because she doesn't get revenge on the first guy that raped her because that had a mask on. Now the second guy, she does kill him, and he's in her bathtub for a day or two, and then she decides, well, I guess I better like cut him up. Right. So she starts she cuts him up, like wraps the pieces in newspaper and puts them in garbage bags, and then she's just going to go around New York and like leaves them in alleys and garbage cans and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, as I said, it's kind of like a fine line because you're rooting for her because this poor fucking girl, and it's like, you know what I mean? She had some problems before. She's obviously very shy and very, she doesn't talk or anything, but, she has some friends at work, but she's not really a joiner or anything. So this horrible shit happens to her, and there's this whole, the kind of theme, the whole overlying thing of the movie is that, when her and her friends or her coworkers are like walking down the street, like, there's just these, like, men standing there just, like, leering at them and just, like, making horrible, like, sexual comments and, like, trying to come on to them and stuff, which is actually pretty accurate. You know what I mean? Depending on where you live. And I think in New York at that time, too, is probably even worse. And, even, shit, I've even had it happen around here when I used to walk around my work and stuff like that. So it's almost like these women are just kind of like in this stew of like just male hostility, like coming at them from all sides. So you can almost like understand why she would do that, because initially the dudes she bumps off, they didn't do anything to her directly usually, but on the other hand, you don't feel too bad about her blowing them away. You know what I mean? Just because they seemed so fucking douchey. Like the one guy that she kills, like she's, like I said, she's cutting up the body of the rapist, and she's kind of slowly like depositing pieces like all over the city. So she's doing that one time. She has a it's his arm or some shit like that. I don't know what it is. And like leaves it in a bag and like kind of drops the bag. And then this guy who has been like catcalling like every woman walking by, like he sees her put the bag down and he thinks that she dropped it. So he picks it up and starts running after her, which, I would be a little frightened by somebody running after me like that. So she like fucking starts running, and then she gets trapped in an alley, and then he's like yelling at her and like waving the bag at her and stuff, and she just shoots him in the fucking head.
You know what? I don't think I've seen this movie.
You don't think you've seen it?
I don't think I've seen this movie. Yeah, hearing you tell it, I don't think I want to see it.
You don't think you want to see it?
I don't think I want to see it.
No, it's actually really good. But, okay. Yeah, so, like I said...
Sounds like just woman goes crazy, kills random men.
Yeah, well, it does go in that direction, but she doesn't, like... The thing is, it's like you sympathize with her up to a point, but then she, like, crosses a line where it's not okay anymore. Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not saying that that's okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's not saying it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
And it was kind of like... you can tell it's very much influenced by Death Wish, Taxi Driver,
right.
Movies like that, just kind of those gritty 70s, like revenge, vigilante type movies. Because at first, like I said, she just comes across as a vigilante because she shoots a pimp that's like beating up a prostitute. Yeah. Like she sees it and so she shoots him.
Yeah.
So she targets like dudes at first that are shitty and you don't really, but then as it goes on, she gets crazier and crazier. And she just starts, like, following just random dudes and being like, yeah, I'm going to kill that dude. I'm going to kill that dude and all this other kind of stuff.
Taxi Driver was a masterpiece, though.
It really was, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome movie.
Although, like I said, I really like this one, too. Yeah. It's just, the cool thing about it, one, she's amazing in it. She doesn't say anything. She only says one word, and I'll, say that at the end, but, because that's kind of like the big end scene. But everything has to like be conveyed by her face, and she has like this really, really great, like, I mean, like I said, she was a model and everything, among other things. So she has these really big eyes, and she has this really beautiful, like, expressive face, and she's really good at like showing trauma. You can almost like tell what she's thinking, like, by looking at her face. And I'm surprised that she wasn't in like a lot more movies, but she was kind of, like I said, she was more into screenwriting and she was a musician and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said, she's so it goes on. Like I said, she kind of gets more and more people. The sad thing is, like, even men in the movie that care about her or that are ostensibly nice to her are still kind of shitty, because like she has this boss at her the garment district where she works, and he seems nice. But the way he talks to her like she's retarded, or like she's like a little girl or like a little kid or something. He's like just like really condescending.
Yeah.
And he's also kind of creepy and it's like he's one of those, hey, let me give you a massage type of, like, that type of dude. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean about, when she goes around killing people, you don't feel all that bad about it, because a lot of these dudes are like really are no prizes.
Yeah.
But like I said, she does kind of cross a line at the end. She kills gang members and stuff like that are like threatening her. But as day goes on, as time goes on, she starts using what she starts doing. At the beginning of the movie, she starts out very mousy. She has this kind of like mousy little hair, and she dresses kind of mousy and everything like that. But then as she gets like sexier and sexier, like as the time she's got like leather pants, she starts wearing like red lipstick and like slicking all her hair back, and
she becomes a super villain.
Yeah, because she's trying to like lure men toward her. You know what I mean? So she can kill them. Now the kind of climax of the movie, like her fucking boss, because of like the trauma she went through with the rape, she didn't tell anybody about the rape. She didn't tell anybody what had happened to her. So they all just thought she suddenly started acting really weird. Like she kept fucking up at work. Like she burned shit with an iron and, stuff, and did buttons wrong and whatever. And so they just think she's like losing her shit. And so her creepy condescending boss is like, why don't you hang out with the other girls more? I'm having a Halloween party. You need to come to that. You can be my date. And if you be my date at the Halloween party, then I'll like forget about all these fuck ups you've been making at work. And she says, okay. So the Halloween party at the end is like where the big climactic thing happens. Now her costume famously, and there's a very famous image from this movie, is like sexy nun. You know what I mean? She has the habit. She has those big red lips, because she has like these really great, like really full lips. It's not fake or anything. And she like has the sexy nun outfit with like, the fucking stockings, and she's got the 45 that she...
So that alone might make the movie worth seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. And like I said, those are very iconic images. Okay. If you Google the movie, that's most of the images that come up are of her in the nun outfit, like in various, like, she'd like take the bullets and like kissing the bullets and stuff. That's like fun. That. The 45, by the way, that she got was actually from the guy that had broken into her apartment that she killed and cut up. So she took that gun. and then went around like blowing people's
This is
heads off
happening
with
in
it.
New York?
New York City, yeah.
Okay.
And this movie's from 1981, if I didn't say that before. But yeah, so there's a big Halloween party
Later
then.
I thought you were talking about the 70s.
No.
Okay.
It was clearly influenced by a lot of 70s horror movies or 70s like revenge movies and rape revenge movies and stuff like that. But yeah, it came out in 81. So the big like Halloween party at the end, basically the boss, who comes across as, he comes across as gay, but I guess not. Maybe he's bisexual. I don't know. But I don't know. He just seems like a gay man, but he's all into her, and he like starts macking on her and stuff like that. So she shoots him, and and then comes down the stairs, and all the Halloween, and she's targeting all the men. She lets like the women are screaming and freaking out too, obviously, because she's shooting men, but you can see she's just going around just plugging all of them. And then the best scene of the whole movie, and like I said, she's mute. She doesn't say a single word through the whole thing, except for the very end. What happens at the very end, while she's shooting all the men, one of her friends from the company, one of her coworkers, who's actually a really good character, I can't remember what her name is, but she's the one where they're all walking down the street and like dudes are like, hey baby, blah, 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 and she's just like, fuck off, you know what I mean? She's all like that. So she's kind of like this really like assertive like woman that is always telling all these guys to go, piss up a rope or whatever. So Thana is in there in her nun outfit like shooting everybody, and this assertive smartass woman comes up behind her, picks up a very phallic looking knife from the cake table, and like does it like that, and then stabs her in the back with it. So she saves everybody except for the people that Thana already shot. And then Thana turns around to see who has stabbed her. Like it's kind of like slow motion, and she sees that it's a woman, and the one word she says is sister. And then she dies. But yeah, it's so fucking good. But
so
yeah,
you ruined it.
No. It's an old movie. It's an old movie.
All right.
But there's, like I said, there's great little details in this movie. Like just little shit. Like when she goes back to her apartment when she gets raped the second time, she actually gets the upper hand on the rapist by first hitting him on the head with like a big ceramic apple, like Eve, you know what I mean, from the Bible. And then she kills him with an iron, which is a very feminine, appliance, I guess, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she kills him with an iron.
Right.
They also have a thing where when she goes, like, before she goes back to the apartment before she gets raped the first time, she's in a grocery store, and all she buys is, like, a thing of meat and then, like, some soda. But then, like, later on when she cuts the guy up, it's like she's cutting it like it's meat and then, like, wrapping it, like, the same, you know what I mean? So there's, like, lots of nice little symbolic kind of things in there, like that kind of thing. But yeah, so this is actually, if you haven't seen it, I know I just wrote it and everything, but but that's what I do. Yeah. But you definitely should see it. Like I said, it's a rape revenge movie, and that's usually what it's categorized as. I even wrote like a big blog post about this and I Spit on Your Grave, like kind of talking about the differences between them. Because like I said, this one is a little bit more problematic in that, in I Spit on Your Grave, you sympathize with her because she gets raped and she just directly gets revenge on the dudes that actually did it. Whereas this one, she starts out like you sympathize with her, but then as it goes on, she just starts targeting people that didn't do anything to her or weren't doing anything bad. So you can't really justify it. So it's not really the same thing as, say, like, I don't know. I guess it's sort of similar to like Death Wish type of thing, but it kind of reminds me a little bit more than like a vigilante thing. It reminds me a little bit more of like a psychological study, more like maybe like Repulsion or something like that, where she's clearly not right. You know what I mean? Like the movie's not saying, hey, it's okay to go blow random dudes away, even though some of them did deserve it. But, later on as it goes on, obviously they didn't deserve it. And there's also, I forgot to mention too, there's this really good scene where she's in a bar and she like picks up this guy, and this guy is like telling her, I don't even know what this actor's name is. He's only in it for like 2 or 3 minutes, but he's so great. And he like is given this big long like spiel about his wife and how he was afraid that she was cheating on him and all this other stuff. And then like one day he followed her, and then he looks in the window of where she went, and she was like having sex with another woman. And then he says something like, I went home and I strangled her cat. And then so Thana points the 45 at him and is going to shoot him like after he says that, because she's like, you killed the cat, fuck you. But it doesn't go off. But then he takes it out of her hand, and she's just kind of like looking at him like that, and then he shoots himself in the head. And then she's like, well, I'm getting the fuck out of here. But there's just like really, really great scenes like that. So if you like those kind of gritty, like New York, like when New York was like really gross and disgusting and dangerous. Back when New York was
basically Detroit.
Yeah, back when it was like that. It really, really has that vibe to it. It kind of reminds me of, like I said, the whole Taxi Driver, If God Told Me To, you know, all that kind of like filthy New York, because, you know, big alleys full of garbage and all this other kind of stuff. And everywhere you go, like, there's all these people like standing around street corners, like grabbing you and shit like that. It's all that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just, so it's one of those ones I feel like it doesn't come up a lot, but I really like it. I always really liked it. I like I Spit on Your Grave too. I like a lot of those scuzzy like rape revenge type movies. But I would definitely recommend this one if you haven't seen it. It's on Tubi at the moment, so you might want to go. So
you can watch it for free.
Yeah, you can watch it for free. There's just a couple commercials in there. I don't think it's like cut up or nothing like that. But yeah, and like I said, Abel Ferrara went on to do other, you know, Bad Lieutenant probably most famously, but he's made a shit ton of it. He's still making movies nowadays, I thought. Which I didn't even know until I looked at his fucking Wikipedia page. And I honestly didn't know that Zoe Tamara Lund, who was in this, actually co-wrote Bad Lieutenant as well. So that was a fun fact that I learned when I was doing this movie review. All right. So we are going to wrap up this short review of Ms. 45. Go check it out if you like that type of thing. And remember, if you like our show, like, share, subscribe on all your social media. If you'd like to financially support the show, you can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/13o'clockpodcast, or you can go to our blog, 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and there's a little button in the sidebar to a PayPal account if you would like to give a one-time donation. Remember, our little movie reviews like these ones come out every Friday. We also have 13 o'clock matinee, which is 3 new movies in the theater that comes out every Sunday, and our regular episodes that come out every Tuesday. So check them out. We will see you next time. Bye.